What's up, everybody? Welcome to the podcast. Today we have on Meredith Rogers, who happens to be one of my best friends. We've spent a ton of time traveling together, and she really embodies just this ability to design her life around traveling. She's a photo video journalist and storyteller and has seen the world through doing that, but also is so good at being a frugal traveler and finding a way to travel for less. So I'm really excited the story she's going to share with me. I'm really excited for the story she's going to share with us today because I know she has some crazy ones. Some I was a part of, most of them I was not. But it's going to be an awesome episode where we're going to learn a ton and also just become so inspired. She's also going to share about an epic journey she's about to head out on for one whole year, and it's an opportunity that most people cannot claim that they've done. So I would love for you, Mary, just to kind of intro yourself and just share a little bit about you and kind of how travel is just really woven through your life.
Wow. Okay. Wasn't ready for that. Yeah, my name is Meredith Rogers. I am 25 and I'm a freelance videographer.
Do you know how many countries you've traveled to?
Yes. Kate just texted me before this and I did the math. I think it's at 17 right now.
And then you sail,
So
right?
fun.
Yes, now I sail. A month ago, I did not sail.
What?
Yeah, I did not know how to sail a month ago, but now I do. And I will be embarking on quite the journey.
So fun. I can't wait to get into that, like what you're about to embark on, because it's insane.
It is actually insane.
I don't know how many people in the world, like statistically, have done what you're about to do.
I don't either.
But it's got to be
And the
very
more I
fun.
talk about it, the crazier it sounds. And sometimes I feel like I'm talking myself out of doing it, especially when I say that a month ago I didn't know how to sail. So, yeah,
Sounds
very excited
wild.
to get into that.
I also
So
am hyped
crazy.
to save that to the very end.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, we got to keep people
No,
on
no,
the
yeah,
edge of
keep
their
them on
seats.
their toes.
I would love to
Absolutely.
jump back to do you remember the first time you left the US outside of like family stuff, like left the US by yourself or whatever, and how you felt or where that was and all that stuff?
Yeah, I do. I actually don't think I've been on any trips like with family. It's kind of all been on my own. The first time I ended up leaving was with a school program, and it was for a field trip. And so I had never
Mm.
traveled before, and it wasn't something I thought that I was that excited about. I just kind of got signed up for this program through our language classes, and we ended up going to France and Spain. It was like a 2 week trip. I didn't know much about traveling. It felt like I just got sent on this. It was like with my classmates. But it ended up being one of those like core memories in my life that I feel like has like shaped my view of travel and maybe one of the reasons why I love it so much or why I wanted to do that when I graduated high school. Um, because I remember coming home from that, like having some of the first, or just remembering having some of the first moments that I could remember being in awe of what my life was. And moments with friends where I was like, wow, I'm like outside of my family unit. I'm doing something that's slightly kind of like on my own. And I'm beginning to write my own story for my life. And I think I was only 14. So that started at a pretty young age.
Yeah, that's so rad. Cool.
It was cool.
So your school actually had that program, or was it like some exterior program or something?
My school actually had that program. And at the time, I thought it was pretty normal. At the time, I wasn't like, oh my gosh, I'm going on this crazy trip. As I look back on it, I realize how lucky I was to be a part of something like that, especially as a 14-year-old. Just getting to like get outside of my normal routine and be in countries where they speak other languages and see something different. I can't believe how lucky I am to do that because I know that's not normal and not accessible for a lot of people. So yeah, it was quite the experience to have.
See, mine had something really similar. We went to the local ski resort on a bus, so it was like pretty close to the same thing.
Honestly, the same thing. Yes, the exact same thing.
It was pretty life-changing for me, and
wow.
When skiing
That's
for
gonna
the
be
first time.
just like
Yeah.
really embed yourself into a new culture.
Totally, it was insane. So I know how you feel for sure. We're both so
Yeah.
So
lucky.
good.
It feels so good to relate to you right now in that moment. Like I feel so less alone. Like just so known.
Where was that? Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Southern California.
Cool. Did you guys know each other
Hmm.
from Southern California?
Yes.
Oh, cool. So you
Yeah.
guys go way
Hmm.
back.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Way back.
Yeah. We lived like 20 minutes apart from each other. So we were at each other's houses
Sick.
all the time, just hanging. But we met when we were like, I don't know, 20.
Oh,
I was
okay.
Yeah, I
20, I
think I
think.
was
So
19.
like 5, 6 years ago.
Hmm.
Because we went to Nepal together in
Hmm.
2017. And then Norway was 2018. And I think Mexico was
Mm,
2018 as
Yeah, I
well
think so.
when we went. So yeah,
yeah,
super
Very
so
cool.
fun.
rad.
Such a blast. So that was like you as a little
Yeah.
kid, like getting the opportunity to travel. Then where did you go next? And kind of like, yeah, I guess a little bit of how did that happen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so I think after that experience, I mean, then I was in high school. I didn't have any opportunity to travel. That was kind of the only time that happened for another 5 or 6 years. And after that, it was just on my mind a lot. I think in high school, I would even make videos about the places that I wanted to travel and the things I wanted to do. So when I graduated, I decided that I wanted to go, I just wanted to do a trip. I didn't know if it would be by myself or friends would come with me. I'd kind of just made a decision that I would go, um, whoever it was with, and even if it was by myself. And I ended up working at a hostel in Switzerland for the summer. And looking back on that, I actually can't believe my parents let me do that. Like
It's so
I
rad.
didn't have I didn't have much like direction with it. I didn't like I wasn't coming home to start college in the fall. Like I could have just kind of gone and stayed. Um, but after graduating high school, that's like the one thing I knew I wanted to do. I wanted to like go get experience, go meet new people, and do something that was out of my comfort zone, which would be traveling by myself or um, going to see places that I'd never seen before.
So
Um,
rad.
so yeah, I ended up doing that.
It's cool that you had that outlook that young
So
too.
cool.
Like I legit didn't start traveling to like mid 20s, you know? Like
Crazy.
I I don't know. Like I think we all have it on our list of like, oh, we have all these places we want to visit. But you
Mhm.
actually going and doing it's pretty insane. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. And it's funny because I think
So
about it.
cool. That's
What were you going to say?
oh no, go for it.
Oh, I was going to say, it's funny that you say, like, oh, it's cool you had that outlook. I look back on it, I'm like, I'm not sure what outlook I had other than, like, I don't know what I want to do with my life. And everyone else is going to college. Like, everyone else seems to have this plan for their life. And I remember meeting with my guidance counselor and him saying, like, oh, you never signed up to take your SATs. Like, you're not going to get into a 4 year college. And me being like, well, I don't know what I want to do with my life. So I don't really want to make that decision right now. Like, I'm going to actually go. I feel like I should travel and get some life experience first. And like,
So
in
rad.
hindsight, I'm like, oh, I'm really glad. Like, it seems like I had this like idea of what I wanted my life to look like. But in reality, I was panicking at the fact that like I was the only one that I felt like I was the only one that didn't know what she wanted to do.
Hmm.
But I just like, for
Mhm.
some reason in my gut was like, I need to start traveling to kind of figure that out.
Totally.
So cool. I love how like you shared how you went and worked at a hostel in Switzerland because working at a hostel in Switzerland or wherever you want around the world is a great way to travel and partially get paid
Mm-hmm.
for it or just like swap your stay and food. Um like that's just a cool tip for people listening that if they are trying to figure out a way how to do it, that's a great way to get started in
Mm-hmm.
traveling is like to
Yeah,
work
how
for
did
a
you get
hostel.
linked up with them?
I basically Googled how to, I had no money. I was like a senior in high school. And the job I was working at the time, like it would not fund the trip. So I kind of started Googling, like, how do you make money while traveling? Or how can you get your trip paid for? What kind of jobs do you need to travel essentially? Um, and I ended up finding this website called World Packers, which is the work exchange program. And I just like would flick through, like I spent weeks like flipping through different hostels, looking at what they wanted, who they wanted, and what type of work they needed. And so because I didn't have the funds to actually travel, I figured that would kind of be the best way to start and just like get my foot in the door.
Totally.
So I found one that I wasn't even doing this as my job yet, like photo, video, storytelling. It was just an interest I had. So I kind of went off just an interest, and I told them, I do photo video. Like, I love this. Like, it looks like you guys need someone to run your social medias and take photos of what you do at your like adventure hostel. And I sent them a couple YouTube videos I made and was like, I would love to work for you guys. In the trade would be that I would stay there for free, get my meals paid for, and they would pay for me to go on these adventures that they offered to document it. And so
didn't you go on some like skydiving adventure or something?
Yeah,
it was like paragliding or something.
Paragliding, there were like a couple of things where you're like river rafting, paragliding that they would just send me on because they needed it to be covered. So that was like one of the first times I figured out kind of that travel hack of like, I have no money, but maybe someone else could like fund this trip for me.
So rad.
So yeah.
It's also cool that I feel like the pathway most people go is they meet with their guidance counselor. Their guidance counselor says, even if you don't know what you want to do, take the SATs, go to college. And you were like, nah, like I'm actually going to just Google how to go to the places I want to for free. And then they're going to pay me to go on these cool adventures. I think this is what I've been thinking about a lot, because it's actually been, I now have 4 kids. And so to travel is way gnarlier. And I'm starting to come up with all these excuses that I used to get so frustrated with people that would make excuses. It's like, in order to travel where you want to travel, you just have to travel where you want to travel. Like, you just have to do it. Even if you don't have the money, you just figure out a way. And honestly, a lot of the trips we took, we didn't have the money and we just figured it out. We got way cheaper flights than we thought we could get. We stayed in way worse places than we wanted to stay. We just made it happen because we had to, in order to do it. And it's the same, I don't know, it's the same with a million things in our life, like starting a business or renovating your house or any of that. I found you can create a million obstacles in your own mind. It's just about saying, no, I'm doing it, setting the goal, and then figuring out how to do it. So that's pretty rad.
Exactly.
Yep. So true.
Speaking of which, it's trivia time.
Oh my gosh, that's the edge of my seat.
So this is the part of the show where I've prepared some world trivia questions. There's actually 2 U.S. trivia questions in this one, and then 3 world
I will
ones.
fail. I just want everyone to know that I will fail.
So honestly, I quizzed Chris before this, and he got all of them, and I was like, I didn't know any of these. So I was like, how did you even know that?
Wow.
So if you fail, totally fine.
So should I feel like I should have all them right, or that I should?
I don't know. You'll decide.
No.
So here,
it's a lot to live up to.
So you can either, I don't know if you have a paper or on your computer, you can type your answer so that you save your official answer.
Okay. Ready.
Question number 1 is, where would you travel to visit the Amazon rainforest? Which country?
Okay.
Boom.
Question number 2. Which state would you find Mount Rushmore? Which state would you find? Yeah, which state is Mount Rushmore in?
Okay.
And there's 5 questions total. Question number 3. What material is the Leaning Tower of Pisa in? Nope. What material?
What? What material?
What material?
Is it made out of?
I read it anyway. What material is the Leaning Tower of Pisa made from?
The fact that you're pointing a fork at us.
What is it? I gotta get that out of here. I'll just fidget with it the whole time. What material is the Leaning Tower of Pisa made from?
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Next is another U.S. one. What river runs through the Grand Canyon? The name of the river that runs through the Grand Canyon. That I think probably created the Grand Canyon.
Yikes.
This is the one that Chris knew this one so fast, and I was like, "What? How did you know that?"
These are questions I don't think
I've like that kind of guy though that would know.
I've like never thought of any of these.
Yeah, I've never even heard.
Last one. Are you ready?
I'm so nervous.
Which country is Mount Kilimanjaro located in?
Oh, easy.
Okay.
All right, and that's it. And then
I could be right,
live
but I
there,
could
Mare?
be wrong. That's all I have to
you
say.
can't give her
I think
you
you
can't give
lived
her
there,
hints.
didn't you?
No, you can if you want.
Well,
Yeah.
she would know if she lived there. I think it's, or
I don't think I
I
lived
can't
there, but
remember if this
I
is, if
have a
that's
feeling that I've been there. And
okay.
I
Yeah,
really
yeah,
could be
okay.
wrong about that.
That makes sense.
And same with Mount Rushmore. I'm like, I have a feeling I've been there, but I could be wrong.
Do you have like a highlight moment of like best and worst thing that has
Wait,
happened?
I'm kind of on the edge of my seat. I really want to know if I got these answers correct.
Oh yeah, sorry.
You find
the
out
quiz
at the
is-
end.
Yeah, sorry. Sucks to suck.
Wow, I am like, I was really like, I was kind of excited.
Yeah, well, you still can be the rest.
Okay.
It'll drive you for the rest of the podcast.
Yeah, don't worry.
Okay. What was the question?
Hangs up.
I'm sorry, I have to go.
Goes and Googles each question.
I'm like, I have
She's
to.
like,
Just
I have
to
to go to the
find
bathroom.
Googles them all. Too good.
Okay. What was the question?
Iconic. Best and worst thing that has ever happened while traveling. I'm sure you have some pretty epic
I
stories.
do have some stories. It's hard to think of on the top of your head. I think that a lot of the ones that I'd say that are still bad are the ones that are just inconvenient. Because, like we said earlier, a lot of the bad stories end up being your favorite ones, or they create the memories that it's like that's what you remember, that's what you laugh about later. It's the type 2 fun that really carries the experience. I think one of the most inconvenient ones that happened to me though was I got my passport stolen in Budapest, and I was traveling with friends, so the responsibility, like, it wasn't just me. Like, I was also holding back friends. I was like, if I can't get out of this country, like, are they gonna leave me? Do I have to? I'm like, should I call my mom and tell her that like I'm not coming home? Like, I have to figure out what happened. But that was just so frustrating because you don't expect that to happen, and you hear stories about that stuff, but yeah, it just got stolen in the middle of the night off of a bus. And so I was kind of just going about my day, and then we unpacked the next day, realized it's not there, and then it created this whole fiasco of like running around Budapest trying to find, like, we have to go to the US embassy. It takes all day. Have to get the emergency passport. It was just like a huge thing. And
Dang.
that is not a type 2 fun. I think I look back on that and I'm like, that was just frustrating. Like, it just feels out of your control, and you're like, someone just took this from me, like, and so, now I can't leave the country.
So when somebody steals your passport,
right,
and then you go to the embassy, does the US print it and like quickly mail it to you, or what? How does that go? Or do they make it there? I thought that's what would happen.
They actually make it there.
Really?
You jump through like hoops and hoops and hoops. Like, they really have to. I don't even know how they did it, but they had to like track down who I was. They had to confirm my identity. They had to kind of just it took hours of kind of just like convincing them that I was who I was. And because you don't have a passport to show,
right,
and even my US ID, it's like, they're like, well, that doesn't really matter. Like, that you're not in any like international system. We can't really track down who you are. So it took a lot of convincing. It's just like, hey, I don't know. I'm sure they have a lot of people come in and say that their passport was stolen. Like, I don't know what they go through. So it just felt like you just get like you get asked like every question under the sun. And then but that was the longest part. The second that they decided that I was who I was, in 15 minutes I had a new passport.
What?
In 15 minutes, and I was like,
wow,
what? Like, it's like they just came out behind a curtain.
That's what's so weird about like. That's what's so weird about when you are getting your passport done and they're like, it's going to take 8 to 10 weeks. But say you have a flight in 2 weeks and you don't have your passport yet. You call them and they get it made within like the day and mail it to you. And it's like, well, why couldn't you have just done that for everyone in the first place? Like, how many passports are you making per day? One?
I don't know.
How is this taking so long?
I don't know. Because I've had to expedite a passport like that too. And I got it within 3 days. And then I got this one within 15 minutes.
It's unreal.
And I got home to a brand new passport in my mailbox. because they had given me this like temporary passport with my photo and everything. And they're like, oh, there'll be another one at home for you. I was like, it was
So
just like all of
crazy.
that stress, all of that inconvenience for like a 15-minute endeavor. And you're like, oh, okay,
Sucks.
great.
But then you lost all your
But
stamps, which is a
So
bummer. I
good.
lost one of my passports at home
that was a
somewhere
bummer.
and lost a bunch of my stamps. I don't really look at them, so nowadays I don't care as much. But at the time, I was like, oh, these were like the first countries I'd ever gone to were stamped in here. Now they're just gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I definitely felt the weight of that.
Yeah, that is a fun
It was
memory.
like, I think now I wouldn't care as much, but a couple years ago when it was like my first trips, my first memories, all the things that you're like, one day I'll show my kids this. And then it's
Totally.
just gone. And you're like, and someone just took that.
Oh,
It's like
Yeah.
frustrating.
And it's like, what do they even do with it?
I don't know.
I'm like, I mean, that's a whole nother podcast. It was like, what happens to your passports when they actually get stolen? Like, do they just end up throwing them away because they can't do anything
That's what
with
I was
it?
wondering.
Or
Because
is someone running
nah,
around
dude.
with
There's
it?
freaking some I don't know, some Budapest lady who's just roaming around Europe right now.
Girl.
yeah,
Just saying
someone
she's
is
Meredith.
me.
She bleached her hair and she's just roaming
I
through,
wonder.
living the best life.
I wonder if one day like we'll run into each other. You know, like she'll recognize me. We'll have this moment.
She's like, I'm
Just
you.
from like
You're
across.
like, what?
She's like, I'm pretending
I'm
to
just
be.
like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, you look just like me.
All this
I can't wait
plastic
to meet her.
surgery. She literally, you guys are just identical twins now.
Like she took it so seriously.
So good.
I hope she did.
The passport that I got before the one I have now, for whatever reason, on the day I went to go get my passport photos, I straightened my very always curly hair. And every single time I'd go through immigration, they would like literally look at the picture of me with straightened hair, and then look at me and be like,
This is not you.
and then they'd be like, is this you? Like I had multiple times where they literally dead asked me, is this you? And I'd be like, yeah, it's me. Like I straightened my hair, and they were like, you shouldn't have done that. Like they'd like tell me.
Stop.
I don't think they were trying to be like, you look bad with straight hair.
Shouldn't
But
have
I
done
think
that.
they were just like, this is inconvenient for
Yeah.
us. And I was like, okay, noted. But I just got a new one, and I made sure my hair was curly in it
Smart.
for that very reason. Because I'm like, I'm never straightening it ever. So why did I do that? But I was like 18 or something, so I didn't know anything.
You didn't know better.
Well, so that's the worst thing. What's the best? Do you have any memories? I feel like the good memories are harder to recall. Isn't that weird? That it's like those crazy stories just like stick in our brains a little bit. But do you have
Yeah.
any good like memories where you're like, this is it?
Yeah, I feel like I have so many of those that I could, like I said, because I think all of the ones that do stick out maybe weren't fun in the moment, and then turned out to be the best thing ever.
Yeah.
I think, let's see. Do you want one story or like?
Sure.
You could do however
We got
many you
all
want.
day.
Okay.
They could be as
Well, I feel like
short as
I feel like the one
possible
that
or
relates
whatever.
most to this moment is the one where Kate and I were in Norway together. And we had like it was just one of those beautiful moments where you don't expect, like you don't know what your trip is gonna look like. We like didn't expect a lot of what happened on that trip, and it ended up just being one of the most memorable 2 weeks. And one of
True.
those times was when we got off the train and we were visiting another friend in a different part of Norway. And she kind of just picks us up and goes like, are you guys ready to go to my ski lodge? Like, are you ready to just go ski? She's like, I have
True.
gear for all of you. Like, don't worry about a thing. Like, I've packed snacks. We're ready to go.
What?
And I was like,
Yeah,
none of us
this
could have
happens.
expected that. Like, I just expected to go visit a friend, maybe walk around and go grab coffee. Like, she'd show us her city. Sleep in her house, meet her parents, like chill. And instead we get this like vacation getaway, and we paid nothing. And we show up to this like
crazy.
lodge. I mean, she just like makes us dinner. We have like heated floors. Like,
what?
It was just something that you couldn't make up. And then the next day she takes us cross country skiing. We ski right out front of her door. Like, the snow was so piled in, like we skied out the door, right out of her driveway, just like into the unknown. And
do you remember I skied down the driveway into the neighbor's house?
Yes, I do.
On accident?
into a like random
I had never
family's
skied
home.
once.
Wait, you're like, hey, is this the trail?
Is this the trail? Yeah.
No, I lost control. Basically, like, she was like, we're gonna go down the driveway onto like the road and we'll like cross country ski down. And I had never skied, not once. And so I was like, no worries, like I got this. And I go down the driveway.
She did not have this.
Spoiler.
Spoiler, she did not have this.
I lost all control. And the neighbors, I gotta get through this. The neighbors had their front door open. And I'm not kidding you. I skied
into the family's
and
home.
I fell into the doorway. Like right when I crossed the door, I fell onto the ground. And
I imagine them
like
me. They're all sitting at a dinner eating, and they're like, "What?
What just happened?"
Basically, yeah, they literally were like, because I don't even think they spoke English.
No, I don't.
Like we didn't talk. Like I just
there was like an exchange.
I was
looks.
like, I am so sorry. Yeah,
then,
it was like looks, and I was like, I am so sorry. And
because you don't know how to unclip your boots, probably, or like get your feet out because you just learned.
And we're just standing at the top of the driveway,
pure chaos,
watching this whole thing happen. And it's like we couldn't help. Like it happened so fast that you couldn't stop it.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that so much.
And then, but like, the best part is then that whole day was like a complete just catastrophe. Like everything was going wrong, and Mare ended up going down a black diamond.
It is true. You
guys were on cross country skis.
We were on cross country skis, and so keep in mind, she's now gone into the neighbor's house. we're all doing this for the first time, and we have like this magical moment where our friend decides to serve us hot chocolate on the top of the mountain. Like it's just the loveliest day. And then on our way down, another friend and I look at each other and we're like, we've got to try to go down this ski hill. Like wasn't the ski resort closed? Like no one was there, so
yeah, it was closed because it
had snowed so much. It was like fresh powder. And
we've skied. Cross country skis are like this thin.
Yes. And in our
sinking
head, we're like, deep. Oh, we've skied before. Like that's the only thing I'm thinking is I've skied before. Like how hard could it be? And when you're standing at the top, you like there's no sign for like, oh, it's a black diamond or it's a blue. Like this is just kind of like a ski resort that's in the middle of all these ski lodges. And
like every Norwegian is a pro skier, so I'm sure they don't even like put the signs. They're just like, you can handle it.
And I think back to it and I'm like, I cannot believe our friend did not say something. Like I cannot believe that she didn't try to stop us.
I do have memory though. I do have memory of her being like, it's really steep. Like, you guys, are you sure you want to do that? Like, I remember her being like, no, don't go down that. And then like, you guys just
we're being like, no, we're like, we have to try this.
Yeah.
But
and I mean, how was your way down that?
I mean,
I remember seeing you at the bottom and like
really
it was definitely it was the type 2 fun that you think of. Like you start and you're so excited and then 2 seconds in you're like, I'm on cross country skis. Like I cannot stop. I cannot turn. Like the only way I can do this is if I just like French fry straight down the hill. Like go straight and just hope for the best.
So she was going, what's even better is me and our Norwegian friend were like off to the side, like we had drove down to the bottom of the hill, and so we were trying to find them on the hill, and they were wearing neon colors, so it was pretty easy. And like out of nowhere I would just see this like yellow blob like just like and then like it'd disappear. And then we'd be staring and we'd be like, where to go? And then all of a sudden the yellow blob was standing back up and it's going further down. But when you guys got to the bottom, you literally had like ice in your eyelashes, like your eyebrows. Everything was like iced over.
It was true.
Because they had fallen.
We had basically
so
just
like
been living in that powder for however long it took us to get down. You wouldn't be able to control it. You would just fall you're going so fast. The only way to stop is to fall. So you end up just like bathing yourself in this powder.
I feel like that's what cross country skis are anyway. Like
Yeah.
zero control, even on perfect conditions, no control, just hoping for the best. And you were doing it down a super steep
Just
mountain.
rolling into neighbors.
Yeah. Definitely not
Yeah.
one of my wisest decisions, but I will say, like,
I'm here
created one
for
of
it.
those memories that I'll never forget, where we just
Yeah.
had like the most ridiculous day. And then like after that, you just feel so, you're just like, I feel so alive. You're like, how did I survive that like black diamond on cross country skis?
So sick. Those are all the
It was
best
so
stories.
funny.
I love them
Yeah, that
so
was
much.
insane.
They're so silly.
So
Well,
fun.
speaking of crazy things, I'm so curious. So, what is the sailing trip that you're doing? Because I honestly know almost nothing about it.
Okay, fantastic. Um, Basically, I got a job with a sailing race, and said sailing race circumnavigates the globe in a year. So the race is from country to country, and they have, I think it's 11 different teams racing against each other, and we start in September. So it goes from September to July. So it takes almost a full year to go around the world.
What? So,
Yeah.
and you're going to be on the boat the whole time?
Yes. I got a job as the onboard reporter, which is basically like the photo video journalist. So it's me and one other journalist, and we're going to be on a different boat each leg because the races are broken
Okay.
up into legs, because we do stop in each country and I think we have anywhere from like a week to 2 weeks to kind of have a break, collect yourselves again before you get back on the boat.
But those teams don't. You just do because you're photographing the whole event or videoing
Yeah.
and stuff.
So we'll be switching boats, and
But the team stopped
yeah, the
too.
team stop
for a
too.
while? Oh,
They
okay.
do stop, and then
Yeah.
we all get going again. But me and the one other journalist will be kind of switching boats, so we'll be on the boat the whole time, just with a different team each leg.
Crazy.
Each time.
Yeah.
Dang. And are you gonna be like showering and stuff on these boats? I heard a rumor that you can't
Yes,
shower.
the rumors are true. There is no shower on the boat. There wasn't even a place where a shower was. Like, I don't think it was even put on the boat.
So you just
Essentially,
started
it
getting
was from,
like just buckets of like ocean water? Or
yeah.
what?
The rumors that I've heard are basically, daily cleanliness is needed, and they were like, yeah, you can like take a paper towel and just wipe down what's needed. Also, anytime it rains, we just take our shampoo to the deck and we hope for the best.
What? Okay.
You can
And
imagine.
tell them how long your second leg is.
My second leg is from Spain to Uruguay, and it's a 28-day leg.
What?
Yeah.
So potentially a month with no
like
showers,
no real shower. I will try my best with the water that is.
You should just not. Like, how many times in your life could you just go for 28 days without showering and get away with it? You should just not.
Literally. I haven't really thought about that, and I actually think that's a beautiful idea.
Lance is
He's
like
like,
so
"You got
excited.
it."
I
He's like,
really
"Do
am.
it."
Think of that story. You could
love
go on
this
another
story.
podcast.
Yeah,
We
that is
almost asked
insane.
you how often do you shower, and you could talk
Oh
about
my gosh.
how you went 28 days without showering. I bet it comes up all the time.
After this, have me back, and we'll have a whole podcast just about that.
Yeah.
For sure.
For sure.
Okay, wait. I just Googled how many people have circumnavigated the world by boat, and only 190. Oh wait, it says 199 in history have ever accomplished it, but this was in 2013.
Okay.
So
Gotta
I
be
need
more.
a
But
better
still,
stat.
it's more, but probably not a crazy. Like if it's under
No,
1,000,
I don't
that's
think so.
pretty wild. Still, that's like
It is pretty
a
wild.
fraction of a fraction.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard a stat that was saying that there are more people that have summited
300.
Everest or have like
Oh, I'm
done that
sure.
trek than circumnavigated the globe, which is pretty insane.
There's probably more people that have been eaten by alligators that this year alone than have sailed around the earth.
How many stats
in
can we whip
history.
up right now?
Serious, like the wildest.
That's actually pretty crazy.
It says that 300 as of 2023, about 330 people have per the register of solo
Oh, that's
circumnavigators. So I
crazy.
don't know
Yeah.
if that's
hmm
like they were solo on
Yeah,
their own.
that's a thing.
But either way, you're in an insane
Like
statistic.
Yeah,
So
it does make you
with no
makes you wonder
showers.
why you're doing it. You're like, oh, I wonder why so little people do this.
Well,
So crazy.
so if you think about
Yeah.
a billion seconds is 31 years. So that times 8, 240 years of seconds. That's how, if you did one person on Earth for every second there is, that would be 240 years. And so then if you think about just a couple thousand people, that's like 3 days. So of the people on Earth,
That's crazy.
I don't know if you can visualize it the same. I don't think I explained it very well, but that's a pretty elite group you're about to join.
I'm tracking.
That's pretty sick.
It is very crazy.
I did not
There was
not
no
track
tracking
any
for
of that.
Katelyn.
The math for me was absolutely not mathing, I will admit.
So every
Zero
day there's
mapping
like,
what's happening.
how many seconds a day? There's like 300, or no, not 300.
I didn't take that.
3,000 seconds a day or something. So
It's 86,000
86,000 seconds. Okay, so
86,400.
if you applied people on Earth to seconds, that would be 240 years of seconds is how many people are on Earth currently, because there's over 8 billion. 31 years is a billion seconds.
Okay.
So
it's
like a million seconds is 11 days and a billion seconds is 31 years. So I was just applying how many people are on Earth versus how many people have sailed currently. The equivalent is like an hour of people versus 240 years. Anyway, we can cut this whole section. I obviously super botched it, but
this was for personal use only.
Yeah, I'm like, so, and then are we including, so where's the 1 billion year number coming from? Is that how long the planet has existed?
Since 31 years is a billion, and it's a billion seconds, and there's 8 billion people on Earth, you can do 8 billion times 31 years, which is like 240.
Oh, gotcha.
240.
Okay.
9 years, something like that.
Honestly,
anyway,
you're on a
mark
new
this.
level, and I love it.
Mark this one, Caitlin. Let's cut this whole section.
We are cutting it.
I marked
toast.
it.
But I honestly am honored to be here for that.
Puts marker.
I think about a million versus a billion a lot. And so it automatically in my brain, I think of 11 days versus 31 years all the time. And so to me, it made a lot of sense. But I realize most people are not doing that math.
It's incredible.
In their head all the time. So you've never sailed before in your life, but now you're about to sail for almost a year and getting paid to do it. What's the process of that? Do you just like you apply, or like what exactly happened so you could get this job?
Yeah. So originally I just had this dream to sail around the world. So I wasn't thinking about working. I wasn't thinking about how I could get someone to pay me to do this. It was actually just a dream I had. And I wanted to travel the world, and I wanted to, I don't know, for some reason, when I was a kid, I wrote down like things to do before I die. And number 7 was sail around the world. I did not know how to sail. It was just like one of these things that I just really, really wanted to accomplish. And
so cool.
So I actually ended up finding the race, not through looking for jobs and not through applying, but actually I Googled again. I tried to, I basically Googled like, how does someone with no sailing experience sail around the world? Like how does someone do this? And through that, I was able to find this sailing race that's sponsored by like UNICEF and a few nonprofits that actually train people to be a part of the race crew. So you have some people that are trained professionals going into it, and then you have some people who have never sailed before. And they may be in it for all sorts of reasons, coming from all different backgrounds of their life, but all have this same goal to like sail around the world, and to their tagline is like to achieve something remarkable. So I think coming across that, I was like, okay, so this is a thing. Like I could work towards this. And I got pretty discouraged when I realized how much money it cost, and how much experience you actually did need, how like the certain type of people that were applying to this, like they may have just had the means or would get sponsored to do this. And so one day I was driving And I had just started freelancing. I had just kind of taken the leap of doing videography and photography as my full-time job. And I kind of just thought, like, oh, what if I just email them and ask them if they hire people? Like, do you think they would, like, maybe they hire videographers? So I just asked. I just shot them an email and said, like, do you hire videographers? Like, this is my dream. I have, like, to be completely transparent, I have zero means to make this happen. Like, but I'm passionate and I would love to be a part of this. And they actually ended up getting back to me and they were like, yeah, we hire videographers. They're called onboard reporters. Like, you would sail around the world for 11 months. Like, are you interested? And it's
What?
crazy that, like, it just came from me asking a question. And it's like, if I didn't email them, like, I would have never known. And it could have been a no, but it was a yes. And then from then on, it took, I think I emailed them once every 2 months for like 2 years. Like, the races don't happen very often. And I just kind of would check in every once in a while, like, hey, are you still hiring people? Like, let me know. And then this April, I got an email from someone I had never emailed before. And they were like, hey, your name was put on a list. Like, are you still interested in this job? We'd love to interview you. And that was kind of like the process. So
So
I went from
crazy.
like, I went from having this really unrealistic dream and kind of being like, I could never pay for something like this, to now being paid for it and like being paid to like accomplish something like this.
So crazy.
So yeah, it definitely turned into something I could not have imagined like being possible.
So wild.
So cool. I feel like that's the power of just asking.
Yeah,
Like, worst thing could happen, they say no. Best thing that could happen is now you're getting paid to sail for 11 months and see the world.
yeah,
Oh,
That's
inspiring.
insane.
essentially.
It's crazy.
You just gotta ask. Why
So
not?
crazy.
Like, so yeah.
So sick. What did like the month of training look like? Like, if you could give a little highlight, because I'm sure some people are curious, like, what do you have to know to even get on a boat and do that?
Yeah. The month of training looked like not even picking up a camera. The month of training was all safety, and basically I was basically trained how to be a part of the race crew as if I was like a sponsored team member. So like I said, like, I went from not knowing anything about, I just like didn't know how to sail, and by the end I was like a part of this race crew and we were doing practice races across the English Channel, and we were crewing the boat, and I was like, that was a pretty insane experience. I did things that month that I didn't think I was ever going to be capable of doing. But then it was also, I very quickly, it was a reality check. And that reality check was, this will be one of the harder things I do in my life, like physically and mentally, being in an environment that just like, it kind of induces anxiety and fear and like challenges you in every way possible. I don't think I've ever been so uncomfortable. And I think I was just faced with like a lot of questions, which were like, why am I doing this? Should I keep going? Um, and like, is it worth it? Like, is it worth it to risk my life? Like, I'm not risking my life back home. I have a great life back home. So I related a lot to, I was reading To Shake the Sleeping Self while doing this month of training. I feel like I related a lot to his questions about travel and why do we do hard things, and like, why do we feel this need to do something that is absolutely insane to everyone else. And yeah, I think I came to the conclusion, I was like, I don't think I'll know that right now, so I shouldn't overthink this. I think that it'll be one of those moments where I look back in hindsight and I realize like why I did it and why
Mm,
that was like a part of the timeline of my life. So yeah.
so rad.
So dope. Okay, let's see. Mare, I kind of want to chat through like what are some things that you've learned about yourself through travel that maybe you didn't see
Mm-hmm.
coming? Because we talk a lot about how travel is like a great perspective
Yeah,
teacher. What is some things that maybe some perspectives that you've gained through travel?
that is a fantastic question. um I think over the years, a lot of I've had some of my greatest perspective shifts or like revelations about life on different trips, because you're outside of your normal routine. um Sometimes when I feel stuck in my life, I know that I have to go travel, or I know I have to go on a trip, even if it's a weekend or if it's for a week. I know that I will, like, that my perspective will shift about whatever thing that I'm dealing with in my current life, or maybe about bigger questions I have, I know I'm able to have that reset just by getting away. Um, I think something that I learned about myself pretty early on. Um, but you said something that surprised me, right? Or something that like I didn't expect.
Yeah, it could be something you didn't expect or just a perspective shift in general. Yeah,
Okay.
it's either
I
way.
think that when I started traveling, I was like so excited to be going to all these new places and feeling independent and really capable and kind of like it was just really really exciting. And something that I didn't expect was that I would realize how much I valued having home and consistency in my life. Like I didn't realize that that's actually what I wanted until
Mm.
maybe like so many of these trips. And so many of these trips, I'd find myself like
Right.
homesick for something that I couldn't understand. Or I would wonder, why am I going on another trip? Why am I, why am I constantly running around? Like, what am I looking for? And like, why, like, I just couldn't really see it. And I remember, I don't know if it was a specific trip. I think it happened over the span of a couple of years where I started to realize that my perspective about home just started to change where at first that was something that I felt like would trap me or consistency and like having a normal job and stuff like that would just like never allow me to travel or it would never allow me to do what I wanted to do. Um, and that perspective quickly shifted into, oh, if I have a home and I have consistency in my life, then like that's what will allow me to travel and actually enjoy it and be like really present because I'll have a home to go back to. Because I think at first I didn't have the home to go back to. I didn't have community, and it felt like I was always looking for something. Um, and I wouldn't understand why some of those trips like didn't fulfill me, or
Mm.
why I couldn't find what I wanted to find. Now I feel like I can travel from a place. I can travel from like the overflow of my life because I have a home to come back to, some place to feel safe, and I have like people that are supporting me and cheering me on. Um, and now it feels like a gift to get to do what I love to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's rad.
Yeah. But I
100%.
think I just never
Yeah, it's like
expected
the
that.
difference.
Oh, go ahead.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, like, it's like the difference of like living from an empty cup or like having your cup full and then trying to like, live out of
Yeah.
that. Like, you actually have the energy to fully experience where you go and the energy to, give and receive and all that. But then you have your home that you feel fulfilled
Mm-hmm.
in too. You're not like endlessly looking for that fulfillment outside.
Exactly.
I can relate to that for sure.
Yeah. But that was a fun perspective shift to go through because I don't think I expected that. I think you think like, oh, I'm just this like really adventurous person who it's like that's who I am. Like I run around from place to place. I love doing new things. I love this. And it's kind of crazy when life kind of like slaps you in the face and it's like, it's actually not who you are. Like, like the things you desire are so far from this. It doesn't mean that you don't enjoy it and that it won't bring you even more like revelations about your life and teach you the things you need, but it's not everything.
It's a really fun
Mhm.
perspective because so I have 4 daughters, and they're all young. The oldest is 8, and I wonder, like, I grew up in a culture where we like went on like religious like missions for a couple years, like,
Mm-hmm.
and so that kind of got most people out. But so I'm like, I want my kids to get away, I think, but what am I trying to accomplish by that? So anyway, super rad
Mm-hmm.
because I'm like, okay, I think what you need is you need to see the world. You need to see that everybody is just like us. Everybody's just
Yeah.
living and just like trying to find happiness just like us. And then you also
Mm-hmm.
realize, like, one of my friends, he's traveled a ton, and I was like, "Where's like your favorite place on earth?" And he's like, "Honestly, Utah." I was like, "What?" He's like, "Have you seen the mountains? Have you seen everything that we can do
Yeah.
here? Have you seen like?" He gave me this huge
Mm-hmm.
list, and I was like, "Oh, because I live here, I don't think about it." But
Shoot.
that's like one
Yeah.
of the main things that travel gives you is like it
Mm-hmm.
helps you to understand what you actually want, and what you
Mm-hmm.
wanted was there the whole time.
I
Write
know.
that down.
It always
Write that
sounds
down.
cheesy,
Yep.
but it's like it was right in front of you
It's
the
so
entire
true.
time. And you
Yeah,
never
it's
want to
pretty
hear it.
crazy.
And like even when you're young, especially when you're younger and your parents are telling you something that you're like, no, I don't want to hear it. And it just takes you going to actually experience it for yourself, which is fun.
Yeah, that's so real. I feel like too, like so much of travel and like exploring and seeing different perspectives is like if you have a desire to travel, you kind of have this like rebel mindset already where you like kind of have to learn the hard way. So you want to go have these experiences that like no one around you has
Mm-hmm.
had, you know? Um, and so then like you end up learning through the long way of like, oh, home where I'm actually from or where I live is actually my most fulfilling place, but you have to leave it a ton of times to get that perspective. I don't think I would have ever gained that perspective if I didn't continually leave over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Or like living in a country that has very different laws and like government policies than America. Now I live in America with this like, oh wow, we actually have it pretty
Mm-hmm.
good. Like I didn't have that perspective until I left and I lived in another society for a full year and was like, oh wow.
Yeah.
Like I actually miss some of the
Mm-hmm.
things, you
100%.
know. But that also reminds me of the book To Shake the Sleeping Self by Jedediah Jenkins. Have
No,
you guys
I
read
wish my
that?
name
One of
was
my
Jedediah
favorite books.
Jenkins, though.
It
I
is.
know
Such a
it's
good name.
it's such a
I
good
actually
name.
am rereading that book right now
I'll put it
because
Mm.
it is oddly specific to the trip I'm like embarking on. And some of the ways he talks about like preparing for his trip and how he's saying bye to friends for a year and kind of everything he's processing. I'm reading this book in like a whole new way. I'm like, I
Crazy.
can't believe someone's relating to
Yeah.
me right now. Like, I don't know. It's been a really cool process.
So cool. Lance, this guy, he basically rode his bike from the top of Washington to the very bottom of Chile.
Crazy.
So he literally went like thousands and thousands of miles on his bike. And he wrote a book like through the whole journey of it. And basically it's called To Shake the Sleeping Self, or
Yeah.
right? It's called, yeah, To Shake the Sleeping Self. Yeah. Because he claims that like that's what travel does, is like it grabs your shoulders and shakes your sleeping self, and all the things that you've been like having in your heart or thinking about or wanting to become or experience come to the top of your head, and you actually have a clarity that you couldn't
That's so
find
rad.
back home because your rhythms were too the same. Yeah, it's such a good book. I'll put the link like in the description
Cool.
of this podcast because it's
Yeah, I'll have
just
to check
so
it out.
good.
It sounds so rad.
Yeah.
Well,
So good.
I think we're
trivia answers
Again?
time. Again?
I thought it was another quiz. I was like, oh, I'm so not ready. I was like,
No,
oh,
we can go
okay.
over the answers finally, though, if you want.
I'm so excited.
I know you've been waiting for like 20 minutes. No, probably a little longer than
I have
that, I
been.
guess. All right, are you ready?
I'm so ready.
So, where would you travel to visit the Amazon rainforest?
Okay, my answer was Brazil.
Brazil?
I said the
Ding
same.
ding. Oh, wait, you got it. Correct.
Wow, thank God.
Which state do you find Mount Rushmore? Which state is Mount Rushmore in?
Okay, my guess was South Dakota.
Me too.
Really?
Correct again. You guys are
We're so
so
smart.
smart.
Yeah. I would just like to say that I'm really not confident in number 3.
So,
Me neither. The next three.
so this
like,
one's a little bit tricky because the answer is fairly specific. What material is the Leaning Tower of Pisa made from?
I said limestone.
Okay, I said granite.
Marble. Way close. Let's see. Is there
No!
a sad?
Wow.
Does this count if I put granite
A boo.
/ marble?
Yes, I would count that.
Does that count?
Did you put
I
granite
can,
/ marble?
I can screenshot it. I can literally do that. I
Dude,
put 2 answers because I was so not confident. In
We're
my
gonna
first answer.
we're gonna look back at this footage. If you were looking down, looking like you were typing at all, canceled. But
No,
if
no.
it's
I
it was already
promise
there,
you.
if it was already there, I'll give it to you.
But I will. My first answer was granite, and that is completely wrong. So I won't take it.
But
Yeah,
it said slash,
I'm into it.
so. And sometimes they do granite marble mixes,
Yeah, I'll give it to
I
you.
think.
So far, you're one
Yeah,
ahead.
let's do that. Wow.
In all honesty,
Okay,
I
what is the
probably would
river?
have said wood or something. I haven't been there, so I have no idea.
But
But it's clearly white.
They
Like,
have.
I'm like, have you seen the
like,
photo?
I
people are always like, trying to hold it up. They're trying to
Yeah,
look
why
like
would
they're
it fall?
holding it
I guess
up,
it's probably
you know?
stupid heavy. So it's probably falling into the ground.
It's just like when you try to hold the moon and then the moon's like over there.
All right,
you know?
next.
Iconic.
What river runs through the Grand Canyon?
Okay, I put the Colorado, mainly because that's just the one that came to my head. I was like, big river.
I put Arizona, which I don't even think is a river. I just put
Katelyn,
that.
that's a state, not a river.
Katelyn!
I know, but I put Arizona River.
Well, ironically enough, Colorado River is also a state and a river.
No!
And it is correct.
No.
You killed it.
Wow.
You did it.
Wow, okay.
Yeah,
Dude,
this is
you're
insane.
That
crushing this.
was not a known. I wasn't confident in that. That was completely guess.
So then the very last one, what's your confidence level?
Okay, my confidence level is high.
Or Mount Kilimanjaro is located in which country?
I put Tanzania.
Tanzania.
Done. You guys got it.
Mir, you got all 5.
I will say,
All 5. That's incredible.
Thank you.
wow, I'm honored.
This is a live podcast, by the way, you guys. We have a whole audience that's making all those noises.
they're all just be on the other side of the camera.
Wow.
That's
That
incredible.
was-
5
that
of
was
5.
actually thrilling. I honestly feel like I've just lived out
Yeah,
a
you're
podcast
incredible.
dream. One of my favorite podcasts is You're Dead to Me. Have you guys heard of this podcast? It's a history
I have.
podcast for people that don't like history, and they always quiz the comedian that comes on, and they do this whole little trivia thing. And I've always wanted to be a
That's
part.
cool.
So thank you guys for having me.
Hey, you freaking killed it.
Of
10 out of
course.
10. Because you get 2 points
Thank
per
you.
answer.
Seriously.
Do I get? Oh, cool, great.
So fun.
Yep,
Lovely.
2 points per answer. It's out of 10. You got 10 out of 10. Congrats.
Do you want to tell people like how they can follow you so that they can see this crazy sailing journey that's about to
Oh, yes.
happen, or kind of where we can find you and stuff?
Yeah. I guess the main place you'll be able to find me is my YouTube channel, which should be my name, Meredith Rogers. And same with my Instagram. It's at Meredith Rogers with 2 S's at the end. But having done the training this month, I think I realized how hard it will be to actually document everything that's going on and share it with the world. But I'll be trying my best to post something at least once a month, sending out a newsletter, as well as hopefully just posting one video that kind of recaps each leg that I go on.
Cool.
There'll probably be a lot of
So
tears.
Yeah.
You might see me throw up. It's gonna be quite the journey.
And hopefully we'll get a 28-day shower fast.
Oh yeah,
You're going to grow like a new layer of skin.
yeah. Is that a thing?
After 28 days of no exfoliation.
I like
think
actually.
you'll-
I can't imagine how bad I'm going to feel. I only did 8 days at sea, like in this past training course, and I didn't think I could feel worse. And so I'm not sure how I will feel worse than that. So yeah, get excited for that update.
That's so wild. What is the name, just for my own, because I'm going to put it in the description, what's the name of the
Oh
sailing
yeah, I didn't
company?
even say that. It's called Clipper
okay.
Around the World Yacht Race. That's also like a really good. You'll be able to follow every boat, and we're going to be posting all the things that I'm shooting will be posted kind of in real time, because I'll be sending it from the boat to the editors, and we'll also be able to send all of our we're logging every hour on the boat. That's something that's going to be accessible for friends and family and anyone who wants to follow along.
Crazy.
That is
really cool.
wild.
Yeah. Which I haven't figured out how to send that
Well,
to people.
sweet, dude.
Yeah.
I'm sure you will.
Thanks for having me. It was
So
fun to
cool.
talk about
And-
good stuff.
Dude, thanks
Yeah,
for
you did
being
great.
on.
Honestly, I'm
So many
way
good stories.
hyped to watch this. Like, this is our first one we've ever done, and so I didn't know. I don't know. I didn't have many expectations, but I'm like, oh, I'm excited to listen to this one back. Like, just so many fun moments. So it's cool. I'm hyped.
Yeah, this was so fun.
So cool.
I love it.
You. Cool, dude. Well, thank you so much.
Anytime.
I'll
If you
let
want some more sailing war
going.
stories, we can do one in 6 months.
Honestly,
I do want to
That
do
would
that.
actually be
that
really
would be
funny.
so
This is-
sick.
This is
talk
like before Meredith.
Yeah.
This is like before doesn't know what she's getting herself into, like is a little naive. And then you're gonna have me in 6 months, like just like probably defeated.
You're like a pirate. Like you have an eye patch.
I've got like
you
I
haven't
have
showered
so many
in 6
tattoos.
months. You've gotten scurvy
Yeah,
6
6
times.
You're drunk during the interview.
Oh yeah, I'm 100%. Like this was never water.
You're just eating cans of tuna exclusively.
Okay, I swear if I see another can of beans, like I might throw up. Even after that first month, like I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Oh,
It was bad.
sucks.
Oh yeah, what are you eating?
We are eating it kind of varies, but like you have to pack food for like a month. So a lot of it is like canned food. So we had a lot of beans and toast. I'll say that. A lot of like meals that you can kind of just
English.
like whip up in, 30 minutes. And while the boat is like this. So you're like cooking and you're like cutting vegetables, but you're also like sliding. It's just like a whole, everything that's normal in your life just becomes 1,000 times harder, almost impossible. And then that's when you question your life and wonder why you're doing this. It's
I've seen TikToks of like of ovens and stoves and stuff on a ship. They're like on a gyro, so when the ship tilts,
yeah, and it just goes like this.
It makes them stay level or whatever. It's like
that's how it is.
Did you have that?
Yeah, we have that. That's like the one thing. But then like the counters are still, they're still going with you. The sink is still going with you, like everything else.
You can't bring anything round. Carrots. No, you cannot bring carrots. They're just gonna roll away.
Everything just rolls away.
They're like squared vegetables only. It's like what is a squared vegetable?
What could that be?
Sure.
I don't know, but yeah, the food. I think
a cardboard box.
The food's gonna be a hard one for sure.
Yeah.
But I'll make it through.
Dude, Uruguay though.
It's gonna be exciting. You guys can come visit.
Maybe I'll come visit you in Uruguay, and that's what we'll do the podcast.
You should. I actually.
That's only 2 months out, right?
I just got the dates for like every location I'm gonna be in yesterday, so I will text that to you.
I need you to send me all of them.
I'm gonna text it to you.
Hell yeah,
it's gonna be good.
I would love to do podcasts throughout as you go, and then do one of our YouTube videos like going to visit, and then like having you share about your experience, because that's just like insane. Who freaking does
honestly
this?
Who
like
no, I know. I wonder that same thing myself.
No. Hey, so thanks for tuning in. Man, what a crazy conversation that was. If you want to join on this adventure with Meredith, we put her links earlier, but they'll be in the show notes. Also, we're gonna film another episode with her soon, so if you want to see that, subscribe and like and all those fun things. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you guys on the next one.